Hello and welcome to Module 2 of Igbo language. In this module, we shall be looking at basic grammar and sentence structure. That is ụdọ asụsụ. Ụtọ asụsụ bụ ndụ asụsụ, which means grammar is the life of language. The module content that we should be looking at here include part of speech in Igbo language like noun, pronoun, verb, etc. We'll also look at formation of simple sentences. We'll look at subject, verb, object structure in Igbo language. We'll also look at the use of articles, demonstrative and possessive articles. We'll also look at the introduction to negation and question before we draw our conclusion. Let us begin with the introduction. Grammar in Igbo is logical and consistent, focusing on how nouns relate to verb and how suffix change statement into denial. This model introduces fundamental principles of Igbo grammar, including part of speech like noun, pronoun, verb, and adjective, as well as their function. Learners will master simple sentence formation using subject verb object structure along with demonstrative, possessive, and question formation. By the end of this module, students will construct correct and meaningful Igbo sentences, laying a strong foundation for advanced language skill. Having known that, let us look at part of speech, the overview. That is the building blocks of Igbo language. And the part of speech we have in English, the one known as noun, is called in Igbo as aha. The function is that it names people, place, and things. Example, Ola, which means house. Then we have pronoun. Igbo people call it nochiaha, which is used to replace a noun, like gị, ya, na anyị. Then we have verb. Igbo people call it ngwa, which shows action or state, like ri to means eat, ga means go. Then we have adjective like nkowa. Igbo people know it as nkowa, which describe a noun, like oma, which means good. Then we have adverb, which is known as nkowa ngwa, which modifies a verb, like ososo, which means quickly. Then we have conjunction, which is known as njiko, which joins words and phrase, like na. Example, na, which means and. Then we have preposition, which is known as mbuzo, which shows relationship between a noun and a verb in a sentence. Example is na. Example na, which means in, on, or at. Then we have interjection, which means Igbo people call it mpu oku, which expresses emotion like ewo, or which means oh no. Having known that, let us look at the noun and pronoun. That is aha, na nochi aha. That is naming and replacing. Now aha. Common examples of noun in Igbo like oche, which means chair, akwụkwọ, which means book, mmiri, which means water. Then proper noun like a name of a person like Chinedu, Enugu, Obi. These are examples of proper noun in Igbo. Then we have abstract noun like Ehunanya, which means love, Angore, which means joy. Then we have pronoun known as Nochiaha in Igbo language. Then the first person pronoun like or mo, which means I or me as the object. Then the plural of it, anyị, which means us or we. Then we have second person pronoun like ge, e, which means you. Or the plural form is unu, which means you all. Unu means you all. Then we have third person, like the singular form is ya, or o, which means ha in plural form, which means they or them. The key rule here is that pronouns choice depend on vowel harmony with the verb. So the pronoun choice depends on the harmony the vowel has with the word, the verb. Now let us look at verbs and adjective. Ngwa na nkowa. The headline here is that the verb is the action word, while adjective is the description. Now, Igbo people know verb as ngwa. Some of the examples of verb in Igbo language is ri, which means eat, ga, which means go, go, which means read, go. Then we have infinitive verb like to add a. Example, iri to eat, ega to go. Ega means to go. Iri means to eat. Then we have static verb like which act like adjective like ịmara mma. That is ịmara mma to be beautiful. Then we have adjective nkọwa. Some of the adjective in Igbo language include one, ọma, which means good, nnukwu, which means big. Then we have obere, which means small. We have ọcha, which means white. Example, oche ọcha, which means white chair. Mmadụ ọma, which means good person. Having known that, let us look at simple sentence formation in Igbo language, that is from word to complete thought. A simple sentence must contain a subject like onye mere n'ihe, that is the doer. It must have a verb, which is ngwa, the action. Then it must have an object, ihe mere eme, that is the receiver of the action. Therefore, the formula for simple sentence in Igbo language is subject, verb, object. Now, Igbo sentence include m na-eri nri, which means I am eating food. So it follows the same pattern, subject, verb, object. M is a subject, na-eri nri is a verb, then nri is a noun. Then ọ gụrụ akwụkwọ, which means she read a book. Ha gara ahịa, which means they went to market. Tense maker here is that present continuous tense na m na-aga, I am going. Then future maker is ga, m ga-aga, which means I will go. So the present continuous tense here, m na-aga, I am going. Then ga, m ga-aga, which means I will go. That is future tense. So having known that, let us continue as we look into the subject verb structure, that is subject verb object. That is the blueprint of Igbo sentence. The standard order is subject verb object. Example 1, Obi hụrụ nne ya. Obi hụrụ nne ya. Obi is a subject here. Hụrụ is a verb here, which means saw. Obi is a subject, hụrụ, which means saw. Nne ya, the object. So Obi saw his mother. So Obi hụrụ nne ya, which means Obi is the subject, hụrụ, the verb, which means saw. Nne ya, his mother, which is the object. Example 2 is anyị na-asụ Igbo. Anyị is a subject. Na-asụ is a verb, which means are speaking. Then Igbo is the object, which means we are speaking Igbo. Then the continuous action formula, subject plus noun plus the verb plus the object. Ha na-agba ọsọ, which means they are running. Then the number 2 is that's two object rule is that indirect object, that is the person plus direct object. Here the example is include m nyere ya akwụkwọ. M nyere ya akwụkwọ, which means I gave him or her a book. M nyere ya akwụkwọ, which means I gave him or her a book. Having known that, let us look at articles and demonstrative. That is pointing to a specific things, describing to a specific things. Articles. Igbo has no direct equivalent of a, an, or de. So Igbo does not have direct equivalent of that of English of article like a, an, or de. Example, akwụkwọ can means a book, the book, or books. So akwụkwọ can means a book. It can also means the book or the book. So Igbo language does not have a definite article. So context determines the meaning. Let us look at demonstrative articles in Igbo language come after the noun. Like a or nka, which means this. Nka or pan a means this. So after the noun, like ocha, which means this chair. So it can come after the noun, it can come before the noun. Now, ahụ, ahụ means that. That is after the noun. It means ụlọ ahụ, which means that house. Then India, which is this. After the noun, it means akpụkpọ ụkwụ ndị a, these shoes. Then ndị ahụ, those. It comes after the noun like mmadụ ndị ahụ, those people. Example, Akwụkwọ a dị mma, which means this book is good. Akwụkwọ a dị mma, which means this book is good. Now let us look at the possessive, that is ownership, that is showing who owns what. Then the structure is that it follows the same structure like noun plus the possessive pronoun, that is no word for of or s. Example, my means or m. Example, aham, my name, aham. Then yours, singular, ge in Igbo, it means ge in Igbo language. Egogi, that is your money, egogi. Then we have his, her, or it, that is ya. Akpaya, which is his or her book, akpaya. Our means anyị in Igbo language. Obodo anyị, as example, our country, which means obodo anyị. Then we have the plural form you are. The plural, it can be singular, it can be plural. Unu, which means unu in Igbo language. Ulo unu, which means your house or you all house. Then we have dia, meaning her in Igbo language, her. Ụmụ ha, which means their children. Then double modifiers, that is possessive plus demonstrative. The structure include noun plus possessive plus demonstrative adjective. Example, akwụkwọ m ahụ, that book of mine. Independent possessive example include nke m, which means mine, nke gị, which means yours, nke ya, which means his or hers. Having known that, let us look at the negation in Igbo language, ejo, ajo, saying no or not. The negation suffix are added directly to the verb root, like mma, amaghị m. Mma is a positive, which means to know. Then amaghị m, which means I don't know. So I know mma, but amaghị m means I don't know. That is the negative form of it. Ọ na-eri ji. Ọ na-eri ji, that's the positive. Then the negative means erighị ya ji. Erighị ya ji. He is eating. He is not eating. Then the negotiation by tense, then the present tense maker anaghị. Example, anaghị m eri ji, which means I am not eating. Anaghị m eri nri. That is aghị, that is the maker of a negotiation. Then the past of it is emeghị, emeghị, which means emeghị m rie nri, which means I didn't eat. Emechaghị m rie nri, which means I didn't eat. Then the future maker is agaghị, which means agaghị m eri nri, which means I will not eat. The key rules here is that negation makers come before the verb. Having known that, let us look at forming question, ejo, ajo, asking for information. 3 ways to form question in Igbo language include: 1. Question particles, which include is obtained add low tone like a or a at the start. Iriri nri, for example, iriri nri, which means did you eat? Iriri nri. Now, the interrogative words here, we can use kedu, gịnị, or onye or ebe. Kedu ka ị mere? How are you? Kedu ka ị mere? So we can use the interrogative words to ask questions. We can use question particles like a or a to ask a question. Then we can use tonal shift. So when you change your tone, it simply means you have changed your meaning. So when you raise a tone, raise final syllables tone. Ọ na-abịa. Ọ na-abịa is a normal tone, but when you raise it, ọ na-abịa, it simply means you have now asking question. Is he coming? But on a low tone, ọ na-abịa means he is coming. But when you change your tone to high tone, ọ na-abịa, it simply means you are asking questions. Therefore, the interrogative words include kedu, which means how or which. Gịnị means what. Onye means who. Ebe means where. Then yes or no answer is which means yes. Mba means no. Having known that, let us look at common sentence pattern, that is putting it together. which entails building everyday sentence. So the declarative form include subject, verb, object like Ada Ada ṅụrụ mmiri, Ada drank water. Then the continuous form pattern includes subject plus na plus the verb plus the object. M na-ede akwụkwọ, which means I am writing a book. Then the static form includes subject plus the verb state. Ọ mara mma, she is beautiful. Then the negative form is the subject plus anaghị plus the verb. Anaghị m eri nri, I am not eating. Then the question form using yes or no is the participle plus the subject plus the verb. So m riri nri, did you eat? I riri nri, did you eat? So using the particle which is e plus the verb plus the object, that will give you the question form. Then the question info, that is the interrogative plus the subject plus the verb. Gịnị ka ị na-eme? What are you doing? Therefore, the sentence checklist include one, correct subject placement, tense maker like na or ga, then vowel harmony like the vowel group with the verb, then lastly negation suffix like I if needed. In conclusion, you are now ready for functional communication. Module 2 has shown you that Igbo shared subject-verb structure with that of English, which is easy to start. Nouns don't change for gender like simpler than the French. This or that come after the noun, different but logical. Then suffix like "are" is the key to say not. Then question use particle like or, kedu, gịnị, or onye. Therefore, you can now identify all parts of speech in Igbo sentence, form simple declarative, continuous and static sentences, use demonstrative to point oche, ochia, show ownership like akwụkwọ m, make negative statement like anaghị m, and then ask question like kedu ka ị mere. Thank you and have a nice day.